This hotel, for example, we have done and rehabilitated the public areas at Mara Serena. We've put in a spa and a gym. We've redone Sweet Waters. We're continuing with our bedroom upgrade in Mombasa. We've started our phased bedroom upgrade of our Tanzanian properties. So I think, what we have done is we believe we've got to have a built-to-last company, which should not have surprises. A number of other companies I know of, not in East Africa, but in Europe, US, have been through tough times, and they cut out essential costs, and then shareholders are faced with surprises 2-3 years down the line. So that was one thing that's important to note. I think if you look at our financials, they're very healthy.
What was your debt to, you gave me a figure?
It was 18%.
So it's not a leveraged balance sheet at all?
No, in fact, very under-leveraged.
Yes.
Very under-leveraged. So I think we don't have, fortunately, banks breathing down our necks.
Yes.
We have managed our financials responsibly. We also have a pretty good treasury management within East Africa or Eastern Africa. And I think also, this issue about staff, for example, yes, we've been through many downturns in East Africa, and we've always believed that shouldn't be the first stop.
Yes.
I think, the cost of re-employing them 2 years down the line, and this destination will bounce back. Kenya is resilient. It is a great destination. It's good value for money. And I think people are not coming to Kenya because they are not happy with the product or don't find it a value for money destination. It is perception of security. So I think, bearing in mind what you said earlier, I am certainly very satisfied with the results. Yes, it's painful because, through no fault of ours and issues beyond our control, we could have done a lot better. But I think our board is very supportive, and they believe in looking at the long term rather than, trying to get into a panic situation and defend short-term results which come and hit you in the face 2-3 years down the line.
Sure. I must come back and give you a compliment regarding the staff retention that you're talking about. Is that I've been, since I was a young boy, and you were in the Serena in Mombasa and visited all your hotels, and wherever I go, I find your staff have been there for a long period of time, and I think that's a tremendous testament to the organization and your leadership. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
The other thing, in business is we find what's called flight to quality. When, in the insurance business, lots of claims, they don't get paid, all of a sudden people go to the stronger businesses because they know that in an event of a problem, they're going to get paid out in the insurance company. Now, given the nature of the hotel, the composition of ownership of the hotel business in East Africa and in Kenya, is there a risk of a flight to quality? Because, I've stayed in a lot of hotels with just single monoline units. These guys are surely really feeling the pressure now. Do you perceive that, because the lead time for a holiday is like 12 months forward, is there an opportunity here, an advantage that's going to play in your favor, in the sense that people will have to look and see that operator will be there in 1 or 2 years' time?
Well, we've already seen that. For year 2015 and 16, we've seen a number of operators who perhaps in the past reduced their business dealings with us because they were getting cheaper deals elsewhere. And we are seeing that those suppliers of business have come back to us. And I've been in touch with them saying, what is driving you back? And I think their honest answer is, we know that you are there to stay.
Yes.
You know, don't forget, they're publishing a catalogue and featuring a destination or hotels or lodges costs a lot of money. And if they had an itinerary which was a Serena itinerary, and Serena did not exist
Yes.
2 years down the line, that is waste of money. So I think, you know, we have seen a flight back to us, and I'm sure there may be others too, who have demonstrated that come good or bad times, they will be here. And, you know, Kenya, without, you know, if you look at it, we've seen, for example, you know, blocks to Lone Road, to Fairmont,
Yes.
for example. We've seen the demise of AT&H. We then saw a number of other operators, Signet and others who came in, and they're not there. And I think, you know, the fact that we have been here 35 years, we've been through tough and good times, we are still here, and we hope we'll be here for another 100 years. So yeah, I think there is, you know, we are already seeing that. And that is one other reason why, you know, today, if I look at it strictly commercially, on commercial terms, I'd be better off closing down the hotel in Mombasa
Yes.
and my lodge in Savo.
Yes.
I would have increased my profits for the 6 months, because we are carrying 2 or 3 of these properties. But I think that's where you send a message saying we may be there. I think the message to our suppliers of business is, whether we're running at 20% occupancy or not, we are going to be there. And during this period, we are not cutting standards. We are not sacrificing the quality of our property standards or maintenance. And we still have our staff. So I think, you know, that is always sometimes difficult for people to understand. But we will not, certainly under my leadership and our board of directors, we will not try and, you know, just improve results for the short term at the expense of the long term. You know, I think that would be being irresponsible to our thousands of shareholders. You know, we've got to make sure that we are built to last, we're sustainable, and we have no shocks or surprises for them.
Do you think the current share price is reflecting the value of the business? Because I did my maths, and I mean, just the net asset value, in my view, was considerably higher. And I just think sometimes, because you're the only tourism-related equity at the stock exchange, it's like a knee-jerk reaction that if the macro tourism picture is not that great, the only way people can express it is you know, via your share. Am I wrong, or am I?
No, you're absolutely right. Sometimes I'm amazed that, you know, with the movements in share prices on the stock exchange, you know, I was looking at some figures recently. There was one bank that declares a dividend which is at our level.
Yes.
But their share price is 5 times ours, you
Yes.
know, and I say to myself, I think perhaps that and the fact that we do not have that many, there's not much liquidity on our shares,
That's right.
which also does not help.
Trade that much, yes. They're
And-
closely held.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
that's a good sign as
yeah.
well. It means people are.
And you know, when I obviously track the sales and buyers, and what is comforting to see is that those who are selling, the buyers are existing shareholders.
So they're continuing to add to their
Yes,
positions.
and they've been with us right from day one, which demonstrates, you know, that they have confidence in the company. So I think, yeah, sometimes the NSE movements and share prices are a little, yes. But you know,
That's the opportunity for someone like me when they get very random.
yes, yes.
Mahmud, looking forward,
Mhm.
all this experience, tough time right now, but let's look out. a year, 2, 3 years down the road. What do you see for this business, for the tourism industry in this part of the world, where you have placed such a big bet, essentially?
I look at our future being very bright. You know, our natural resources. You look at our weather.
That's very. I'm optimistic about those natural resources, by the way.
Our location. We feel very confident. I think. You know, one has to obviously make sure that, you know, we continue to lobby government to give tourism the priority it deserves. I think sometimes, unfortunately, whether it's the private sector not being able to communicate the real message to government, you know, but there is sometimes the feeling that it is not given the priority it deserves. We are working at it.
Yes. The World Bank said 1 in 20 jobs in Africa is created out of tourism. So
Yes.
12.5% of our GDP.
Yes, and I think this current downturn, in my opinion, I think come September, October,
Yes.
I think the real impact will be felt,
Yes.
whether it's statutory contributions from tourism, VAT, training levy. I keep in very close touch with manufacturers, with other industries that have huge fallout benefits from tourism. And I can tell you they are suffering. So I think the message will get home very quickly, in my opinion, in the next couple of months.
Yes.
And hopefully we can get this security situation sorted out. My own view is that, you know, the Western world has not been too, you know, very fair with Kenya.
Do you agree with what Richard Branson's been saying?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And what His Excellency the President said in the US.
Yes.
I was delighted with his comments, because yes, this is one time when we need their support.
Yes.
And I think one other thing that we must remember, whilst the 2 recent deaths in Mombasa,
Yes.
were
Which,
very
by the way,
fortunate.
Mahmud, you know, I'm 49, I'm from Mombasa. I've never heard of these types of events.
Absolutely, I've never ever seen such incidents. They were isolated. But if you actually go into a website called Tourists Killed,
Yes.
you will see that Kenya's record is better than Tanzania, Zanzibar,
Yes.
Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, the Bahamas.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that there is any excuse for what happened recently,
Yes.
but you know, my own feeling is that perhaps our reaction to all the incidents was not proactive and not professional. I have said to government that the first thing we should do is to appoint an international PR firm.
Yes. I was going to ask you about that, because at times our PR is so crass.
And it's all reactive.
Yes.
You can't have, you know, reactive PR when it comes to tourist destinations. So you know, if you ask me, I think the future is bright, provided we learn from these mistakes, action is taken, and I think action is being taken. The recent comments by the president in the US, I think, are comforting, because they are talking to our international partners for assistance. And, you know,
We need that assistance, I think.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
lesson, right?
I think one other reason why I feel reasonably confident is that, you know, we've still got the Asian factor.
Yes.
The Chinese numbers are not big,
No.
or the numbers out of the Far East,
Yes.
but they're growing.
They're growing, are they?
Oh, yeah.
Are you seeing it come through here?
Oh yes, oh yes. And I think we should not underestimate the African market.
The intra-African market.
It is amazing. We have seen a real increase there.
Yes.
The numbers do not compensate
Yes.
for the loss out of UK and Europe,
Yes.
because though there's a long way to go. But those markets are growing. So, and when Europe and UK bounce back, and we have the additional, the Asian market, and we've got the African market growing, Kenya has to bounce back.
My final question is, like, looking over tourism over this period, what are the big new trends that you think you're seeing now? You're talking about intra-African. This was something that was not happening 10, 20 years ago. Are there any big trends which are striking that you can point to?
I think in terms of product,
Yes.
we have found, I remember 25 years ago, we had guests who'd come to the hotel, they'd book a full board package.
Yes.
They'd spend all day on their beach bed.
Yes.
They'd go for a swim in the sea, a walk, and go back to the beach lawn and be under the sun. And the only time they got upset was when it wasn't a sunny day.
Yes.
That has changed. If you look on the safari market, we used to have tourists who all they wanted to do was to see the big five. And if they did that, that was the success criteria. I think the whole trend has changed. If you look, people want to have some education. They want to know a lot more about the destination. For example, we've started in our lodges cooking lessons. And our chef just comes out and does an hour's presentation. It's amazing.
People love that.
People love that. We have just put in a sample spa at Mara and a gym. And the feedback is fantastic. So that's a standard we're going to adopt in all our lodges. I think people want to do a lot more with nature, adventure. I think the days when people just went and showed photographs of the big five are gone. They want to be able to talk about the people, the culture. They want to learn a lot more about animal behavior, insect behavior. I think the dinner talk now is about people being able to share knowledge rather than just photographs of the big five. So we've seen a huge change, and this is not just with the younger generation, it's also with the older generation. I think if you look at the corporate market today, I think any hotel that doesn't have a good health and fitness facility is seriously disadvantaged.
I found that when I was in Maputo, because I was put up, I wanted to stay in your hotel, which I had stayed before, and I ended up there's a new one, I can't remember the name of it, but it had no facility, and I was just thinking to myself, why would you do that? What about niche tourism? I went up to Lewa for the marathon, and I saw, lots of people up there, things like fishing. Are we doing enough as a region to push this?
No, I don't think so. I think, when you think whether it's mountain climbing, whether it's camel safaris, whether it's catering to unique weddings, people want to do something out of the ordinary. And I think, for example, even our athletes, why shouldn't people be visiting where they train?
Yes.
We've had Mo Farah come out here.
Yes.
Or maybe I think people want to really go back with knowledge. And whatever we can give, and adventure is another area, where, I know people who've come here on safari and then only discovered that they could have done Mount Kenya or Mount Kilimanjaro, and they do it on a return visit.
Yes.
I think one other serious opportunity that we are losing out on, and this is not Kenya, I'm talking about Eastern Africa, is this the very slow progress on the EAC.
Yes. Does that impact the tourism?
Oh, it would impact. It would no, and also it's the positive impact if we open up borders, we allowed open skies. You would see a real benefit for all the Eastern Africa countries. Which other region can offer you mountain climbing, beach, migration, just a straight safari, gorillas?
Have you got a gorilla property?
No, we've got a property which is about an hour and a half from the forest.
Yes.
And we accommodate a number of tourists who go for the gorilla trekking. So that to me is such a shame. I've had you can be in the Serengeti, and for you to get to Mara, you'd have to fly back from Serengeti to Arusha, to Nairobi, to Mara, which and literally, you can cross the border by foot. And I think that's where we're losing out big time. And I'm hoping that the whole integration takes